Hi, this is Megan Winkler, and I'm going to be talking to you today about developing word consciousness through the text talk strategy. Let's get started. I'm going to give you a second to look at the words on the screen just to kind of activate your knowledge regarding word consciousness. So some words you may see are vocabulary, explanations, reasoning, comprehension, bringing words to life, meaning, reinforcement. There are many more, but I wanted to just kind of activate your mind and jog your memory about what word consciousness is. So here we go. According to Winters, word consciousness is a fascination with new words that promotes ongoing student inquiry and exploration. Graves and Watts-Taff also add to this that word consciousness is an awareness and an interest of words and their meanings. Students who are word conscious are aware of the words around them, those they read and hear, and those they write and speak. So word consciousness is not just vocabulary instruction, it's taking it a step further. Word conscious students are those who exhibit the following attributes. They have an awareness of words and are motivated to learn new words. They enjoy using words and are playful with words. They are interested and appreciate words, and they are satisfied when they use words well. This all came from the Vocabulary Handbook by Diamond and Gutlone that we are familiar with. One important finding of the National Reading Panel in the year 2000 was that repetitive and diverse exposures to vocabulary are vital for reading comprehension. So these multiple exposures and multiple encounters to words should be connected back to our background, prior knowledge, in order to ensure learning. This is so important because the research tells us that when readers access word meanings quickly, they have more cognitive resources available to comprehend the connected text. So that's kind of the why behind vocabulary instruction and the why behind developing word consciousness. Another text we're familiar with is Bringing Words to Life by Isabel Beck and her colleagues. They tell us that word consciousness is an integral part of the research regarding robust vocabulary instruction. They share that a robust approach to vocabulary involves directly explaining the meaning of words and having thought-provoking, playful, and interactive follow-up. So we oftentimes focus on that explicit instruction of the meaning of words. However, in this strategy, this text talk strategy, we're actually going to be talking more about that thought-provoking, playful, and interactive follow-up. That is also so important. This type of instruction has been found to be effective for learning both the meaning of words and reading comprehension. Beck goes on to explain that there are 4 types of word knowledge or 4 stages of word knowledge. She says it is not the case that one either knows or does not know a word. In fact, word knowledge is a rather complex concept. So it's not an all or nothing thing. There are these 4 different stages of word knowledge. Stage 1 is that we have no knowledge at all. Stage 2 is a general sense of the word. Stage 3 is a narrow or context-bound sense of the word. So we know the word, but really only within the context of the text. Stage 4 is having a rich knowledge of the word that's decontextualized, meaning we know how to apply that word to other scenarios or other meanings. We know its relationship to other words and its metaphorical use. I'm going to give you a second to think about maybe where most of your students lie with their vocabulary knowledge, and where do you think the goal should be when we're teaching words? So if you're anything like me, I would say most of my students kind of live in the stage 2, stage 3 areas. They have a general sense of the word. Our goal for teaching word consciousness or developing word conscious readers should be to get them to stage 4, to have that rich and deep knowledge of the word. This is going to promote a breadth and depth of vocabulary knowledge acquisition. So how do we apply this? How do we develop rich and robust vocabulary instruction? Well, Diamond and Gotlone outline some suggestions or some strategies that we need to follow. First of all, our instruction needs to be explicit in the meaning of specific words. We're going to contextualize the word within the reading selection or within the text. This can be done by listening to a read aloud or by reading independently. We're going to provide those playful and interactive follow-ups to promote depth of word knowledge. And we want to extend the word beyond the classroom. One of the ways this can be achieved is through the text talk strategy. So the text talk project was developed by Beck and McCown in 2001, and it aimed to capture 2 goals. Wanted to enhance comprehension through questioning and enhance vocabulary development. Word meaning is developed through giving student-friendly explanations, the teacher creating a context for the word, and providing that active and playful engagement with the word. So I'm going to outline a text talk lesson for you, and that I'm going to share my experience with my own text talk lesson that I did during my vocabulary lesson. So when you're starting a text talk lesson, first thing you're going to do is read the story aloud. As you read, you can pause and give a brief explanation for each of the target words, but the explanation should not interrupt the flow of the story. We want it to be brief and quick, and then we keep going with our reading. After reading the story, here comes the part where you're going to dig a little deeper and get into the deep meaning of the word. We're going to contextualize the word again by using it within the context of the text. We're going to create a phonological representation of the word by saying it out loud. We're going to provide a student-friendly explanation and a different context for the word, so how we can use the word in different scenarios. We're going to actively engage the word through wordplay. And then finally, we're going to say the word again to reinforce the phonological representation. In my text talk experience, I chose to work with my daughter, who is a 4th grade student, and I chose the text A Homesteader's Experience, which I found on Reading A to Z. After choosing my audience and choosing the text, the next thing I did was went through and I chose the Tier 2 and Tier 3 words from the text. So just to remind you from this image, our Tier 2 words are those high utility words, and Tier 3 words are academic, very domain-specific words. So I chose my Tier 2 words, which are sod, washboard, homestead, reservation, and splendor. And my Tier 3 words were soddy and harrow. So during the reading, again, I read the story out loud to my daughter, and when I reached one of the target words, I paused to give a brief explanation of its meaning. So for example, when I reached the word washboard, here's an image of a washboard, I provided a quick definition that a washboard is a tool to use to clean clothing. I continued this process for each of those Tier 2 and Tier 3 vocabulary words. After the reading, what we did was we contextualized the word within the context of the story. So we went back and highlighted the sentence where we found the word washboard. So you can read to yourself, here's the sentence from the text where we found that target word washboard. So we read it again, and we provided another student-friendly explanation of the word. So I said, in this narrative, a washboard is a tool used for washing clothing because they did not have machines or electricity like we have today. We said the word to create a phonological representation, so we said washboard. And then we used the word in a different context. So I triggered her background knowledge and questioning to kind of come up with another explanation of the word. So I asked her, what do you think some of the challenges may have been for using a washboard? And what machines do we use today that have replaced washboards? So I got her thinking about her own experiences and her own knowledge about that word washboard. After the reading, we also actively engaged the word. Diamond and Gutlone state that wordplay engages students in active social learning. It builds on children's natural curiosity about language, and it provides the motivation to continue improving their language skills. So they also outline some wordplay choices on page 34 of that handbook. I chose the wordplay activity called Choices, and it's exactly that. I provided the student with choices to apply the meaning of the target word. If, when she listens to those different meanings, if the meaning applies to the word, the student simply says the target word. I also had some index cards that she could find the word and hold it up like a little sign. So for example, in our choice activity, I said, okay, an easy and fast way to clean. And if it applied to the word, the student simply says washboard. How about an electric machine? Well, no, that does not apply to the word, so the student's just going to remain silent for that. So we continued this process for each of the words, and I must say it was a really enjoyable activity that she really enjoyed, and I think it made that word have a deeper meaning for her. Finally, for the assessment, I used the Vocabulary Hotshot Notebook. This is a graphic organizer that is found in the back of the Diamond and Gutlone text. They state that graphic organizers help students visualize the abstractions of language and explore word relationships. So I really like this graphic organizer. It categorizes the word by stating the word or word family, the place where we saw, heard, or used the word, how the word was used, and its meaning. So we kind of went across the chart to fill in that information. And then going down the chart, I really found this valuable. You are able to record different dates where you use that word, and that's reinforcing the idea that you're going to be giving the student multiple exposures of that word, and then she's recording it on each date that she used or saw the word. Finally, in conclusion, just a few tips on how to be a word-conscious teacher. So some things you can do very easily in your classroom, very practically. We can build a classroom library with a variety of texts and genres. We can have a vocabulary word wall. We can repeat read-alouds with accompanying discussions about the new words. We can use wordplay and the choice wordplay or some of those different wordplay activities outlined in the vocabulary handbook. We can use notebooks or graphic organizers to record our new words. And we can be sure to use sophisticated language and provide multiple exposures to the words. And this research was found from Lane and Allen and Graves and Watson Taff. Finally, these are the references I used. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I truly enjoyed learning more about this topic, and I hope you did as well. Thanks.